Okay, everybody set? Here we go in 3, 2, 1. Here at the Republican Convention with Fox News anchor Megyn Kelly. Thank you for joining us.
It's exciting to be here.
I'm hearing a lot of buzz about Chris Christie, about Paul Ryan's upcoming speech, about Ann Romney, of course, kind of stealing the show. Hearing a little bit less about Mitt Romney himself. Does that strike you? Is that unusual for a convention?
I don't think so. I think that this is just, you do the day of the news, day of news, and he's not day of news. And when we get to tomorrow, Thursday, his big night.
But it's his convention.
Yeah, but it's like, they need to set the stage before that. And tomorrow he'll be the big story. It won't be, Marco Rubio so much. It's going to be Romney. But today we have to talk about the guys who are going. That's Paul Ryan.
In terms of your coverage, Fox News' coverage, been a lot of complaints, and I'm sure Republican delegates, some of them here would agree that the mainstream media maybe not terribly fair to Romney and the Republicans. How are you trying to cover this convention that might be a little bit different than some of your rivals?
I think that it sort of seeps in there in ways you might not expect. Like, there are a lot of people out there who just accept that Romney has difficulty coming across as a real person. And that's a headline that is out there on a lot of regular, mainstream publications. Well, there's a little bias in that. I mean, really?
You don't think that's a professional judgment, that he is not a natural politician, that he's someone who's an awkward speaker?
I think you can say that, but I don't think that should be a headline in a straight newspaper, that he has difficulty. Romney needs to prove he's an actual man. Maybe so, maybe not. I think there's a legitimate question about whether he is a natural politician the way Bill Clinton was or Barack Obama is, But
do you think this goes beyond theater criticism to perhaps a little bit of a collective chip on the shoulder of the press toward Mitt Romney?
A narrative that he's just somebody you can't get to know. He's very difficult to understand, and he can't relate to anybody, and everyone has to accept that, and he'll have to prove us all wrong on Thursday night. I don't think that's necessarily how a lot of the folks here view it.
But I've heard Romney's own strategists say that he is not that comfortable talking about himself and the personal moments, and that was one of the reasons they were banking so heavily on Ann Romney's speech.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean that he is difficult to understand as a man, or he needs to prove he's a real person. Somebody who doesn't like to talk about themselves, maybe somebody who's modest. That's what she was trying to say. Just because he doesn't talk about his charity doesn't mean he doesn't do it. But I just think this acceptance that must prove he is alive and red-blooded is something like, you're getting a little close to the edge on that narrative.
Will the coverage be different, the tone of the coverage, I should say, be different in Charlotte? Do you think that much of the press is still, despite the setbacks of the last 3.5 years, enamored of Barack Obama? I
think much of the press is still hoping that they were right the first time around, and it's like that's the danger in planting an ideological flag as a reporter, because whenever you do that in any circumstance, you feel like you need to stand behind it, and it's natural to want to prove yourself right. And so there's a little danger there. But I think that the press, even though I do think the press generally leans left and wanted Barack Obama to get elected, they tend to be, I think they're giving him a little bit of a harder time now. Just based on what I've seen.
A little bit more fair and balanced in the coverage?
I think so. I've seen a little bit of an uptick in the White House press corps about the questions they ask him and the way they stay on him. It's not true across the board, but more so than 4 years ago.
Now, you had a fascinating piece in Newsweek magazine about
it was very well written.
Your favorite mistake. It was. And you talked about when you were in the 7th grade, you were pretty badly bullied by a group of 12-year-old girls, and the impact that had on your life, and that you felt for a long time that you had to be perfect, you couldn't show any vulnerability at all. What changed?
As I talked about with you, and he wrote that's why he's saying this, I got to Fox News, and it must have been just a time in my life when I was ready to hear it, because my boss, Roger Ailes, sat me down and said, love the whole package. Love the hair, love the voice, love the look. Now who's the real you? And it was the first time it dawned on me, you mean this isn't selling? Not everybody's buying this package that I'm putting out there?
This package that was wrapped in a steel armor?
Yes, that it was I know what I'm talking about, and I have authority, and I can handle anything, and if I made a mistake, then really it probably wasn't my mistake, and I can find a way around it being my mistake. You know what I mean? Rather than just saying, I screwed it up, I'm a human being, it happens to the best of us, sorry.
And now you're finding that a little easier?
As a human being, I have lots of failings, and it's okay to talk about them and to show them, as opposed to trying to cover them up all the time and act like they don't exist.
And that was a hard transition for you, but now you feel like you're there, or almost there.
Yeah, now I do feel like I'm there. Now I'm here I am, warts and all, and there are plenty, lots of them.
Speaking of that, there's one other thing that you told me for that piece that women have told me I have to ask you about.
Okay.
You said, well, a question always comes up about your looks. You said, yeah, you should see me in the morning without hair and makeup.
Yes.
Really?
Yes. You know, it's funny because my senior producer read that and he said it's not true. He said, you look great in the morning. And I said, you're so sweet. Keep perpetuating that lie so people believe that I actually am some sort of natural beauty. But it's not true. Trust me. I really feel incognito when I don't have my hair and makeup done. I'm amazed when people recognize me on the street when I don't have my hair and makeup done. I'm like, they know it's me. How? It's impossible. I mean, right now I've got the Fox, bells and whistles on. I got the false eyelashes.
You got the Fox look.
I do. I got the curls and the hairspray. Listen, it's a visual business.
Does it move?
A little bit. I mean, it's moving more and more down here in Tampa. It's a visual business. You want to look your best, but no, I do not look like this in the morning. And God bless, the maker of Spanx. There are all sorts of things that, help build it.
Megyn Kelly getting very confessional here in Tampa. Thanks very much for joining us here at the Republican Convention.
Thanks for having me.